Well, it is now time for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag climatologist and Market Journal chief meteorologist Al Dutcher. Well, Al, I know you're not planning on your regular forecast this week. What do you have in store for our viewers at home?
Well, Bryce, I had to make a quick trip to Michigan to take care of some family business, and unfortunately I'm not here for the weekly forecast, so I thought this was our perfect opportunity to give you an update of where our soil moisture and our precipitation status is since last fall, what we have in store for heat maybe possibly coming over these next 2 weeks, and then a quick look at maybe some of the conditions that might develop between the late summer into the fall period that may impact both grain fill and, of course, the early harvest period. So the first graphic I want to show you is what's happened over the last 30 days. And this is important from a standpoint that we've seen a large portion of the southwestern part of the state, portions of north central and northeast Nebraska, moving down into portions of east central Nebraska that even with the recent precipitation events, still has shown a fairly significant deficit, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 inches in these areas. We do have an above normal precipitation anomalies in the panhandle, portions of the southern sandhills and southeastern sandhills, and then along the Kansas-Nebraska border, essentially from about Red Cloud all the way over to Fall City. If we look even farther back, and this takes us all the way back through last fall, which is the beginning of our soil moisture recharge period, and then through presently where we're at in terms of the crop season, we have deficits anywhere from 6 to upwards of 10 inches, and the 8 to 10 inch ranges in these darker colors. These are the areas that are going to be most susceptible to seeing significant crop damage due to the heat and lack of precipitation that looks like it's going to occur over the next 2 weeks. And we may start to see some of that impact spread significantly into the center part of the state. More importantly, areas to the southeast and to the northwest, if we go 2 weeks without any major precipitation, we're most likely going to see these areas at least go into abnormally dry status in the southeast and probably up one drought level into the northwest. More importantly, if we look at just a flash glance at what the upper air models are showing as we tape this, basically the ridge is going to reestablish itself as we go into the early part of the week, and it's going to build into the center part of the country. At the same time, this trough is going to try to work across the northern plains and flatten that ridge out, and that doesn't look like it's going to occur until the midweek period. And then as we go into next Saturday, the ridge starts to reestablish itself as that trough moves over to the Great Lakes. A little bit of energy runs along the periphery of this ridge, which may clip the northern part of the state, but there's no overwhelming evidence of widespread precipitation. This is going to be more isolated and concentrated in small little areas. So hopefully that we'll get the major precipitation when it does occur so that we can offset some of this heat and dryness that we're expecting to see. But more importantly, as we go toward the end of the month, and this is around the 28th, that high pressure system is from all the way from the central plains and is projected to be all the way back toward the west coast with the main storm track north of us. We'll watch these pieces of energy moving in the northern stream. If they start to carve off a trough, that will push that ridge even farther back. And the deeper this trough is, of course, the cooler the conditions will be in eastern Nebraska. And that will be the setup for where we would see northwest flow off. But bottom line, it doesn't look very promising for major precipitation over the next 2 weeks. More importantly, as we go into the fall period, looking at sea surface temperatures, La Nina conditions are predicted by CPC to reestablish themselves this fall. We have seen this area in the eastern equatorial Pacific to the central equatorial Pacific warm up dramatically, as is the Gulf of Alaska. So if we see the cold pool reestablish itself, that would be supportive of bringing colder water into the central Pacific and also would reestablish La Nina conditions. If this continues, this process with this warm water continue to build toward east, then we'd be looking at El Nino conditions. So La Nina, we'd have a dry fall harvest in the northern plains. La Nina or El Nino, we'd have a wetter harvest in the southern plains. Stay tuned, we'll see what happens over the next 2 months.